I was walking not long after I became a shift supervisor. I was walking with one of the guys I'd known for a while. He was a good guy. And he asked me, why do you stop and pick up rubbish on the floor when you see it? You're a supervisor now. You don't have to do that. Right? And I was just one of those moments where I opened my mouth and something came out that surprised me. I was like, oh, wow, actually, okay. And I said, if I believe that there is a job that is beneath me, then that implies that there might be such a thing as a job that is above me. Mm-hmm. And I'm too arrogant to admit that there's a job that's above me.
Yeah.
So I'm never going to claim that there's a job that's beneath me.
Huh.
And I
yeah.
And he didn't. He had no reply. We walked for. It was a big warehouse. We
walked towards the break processing room.
It. We walked for another, I don't know, probably 40 meters or so till we got to the break room, and he went his way and I went mine. He didn't say another word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I call a mic drop.
Accidental, but yes.
Yeah. I've noticed that too. When I did that video about the burnout car, and I said that the classic Australian tradition of it's just not my job, mate.
Yeah, not my job.
I've got here because, as we know, I pissed a lot of people off on Monday night. But I have here, because we were going to talk about...
That's just a normal Monday. That's not unusual.
An average day for me. We were talking about, the Productivity Summit.
Yeah.
And I decided to go and research from the Australian Bureau of Statistics, the Productivity Commission of Australia, some articles from the Reserve Bank of Australia, and also some scientific journals around...
Don't you know that data is oppression?
Yes,
this is just colonialism in action.
Just basically pointing to the fact that, yes, in Australia, we have gotten progressively lazier and also, shock, dumber.
No.
Statistical data is here. And there's been lots of studies on this. Our IQs are failing. Based on traditional metrics. There is also an element there where you could argue that with a lot of digital technology, we're getting smarter because we understand this technology. But there is a groundbreaking study, you may not have seen it, about how ChatGPT and these language models, large language learning models, are actually rewiring our neurons, or the neural pathway, and we're losing that cognitive ability.
Yeah.
And it's by definition, it's making you dumb.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that you can't get smarter. It's not saying that's where you stay. It's saying that it's rewiring your brain, so you're regressing.
Yeah.
You're going back to like a primary school level way of thinking and processing.
See, this to me makes perfect sense. I believe in God. I believe that God is the one that created the universe, and that when he created it, it was good. And that it has been breaking and regressing ever since.
Yeah.
So the commonly held belief is that ancient humans were dumber than us, and we're slowly getting smarter. We become, we call ourselves Homo sapiens. Well, now they're trying to call us Homo sapiens sapien because we're the wise of the wise. It means that, sapien is a wise one. I think that's absolute nonsense. And when you look back at what ancient civilizations were able to do without the technologies that we have, they had a grasp of basic physics.
Well, just look at what the Romans did with the aqueducts.
Look at what they did with the aqueducts. Look at South America. Look at Egypt and the pyramids. Look, everywhere, all over the world, there is examples on every single continent of things being done by people.
Except Australia.
Things being done. Evidence of massive irrigation districts in the Amazon jungle, and the jungle has taken over the top of it. And for a long time, we went, this is wild, it's untouched wilderness. No. This was cultivated for quite some time. Yeah. The evidence is all over this planet that, and these people were fewer in number, substantially fewer in number than what we are now, and they did not possess the technology that we have today. But they were able to look at problems and figure out solutions that we cannot devise today. With all of our technology, we could do it with a big machine, even then sometimes not, by the way. But, we could use our technology to achieve something comparable maybe. But we have no explanation for how they did what they did with what they had. They were smarter than us. Now, this makes perfect sense when you simply look at DNA, you look at genetics, and you understand that with every single generation, there are copying errors. This happens every single generation. There are copying errors. It's not a surprise to me that the further through the generations we get, we're noticing more allergies. We're noticing more issues of various different kinds. And yes, there are environmental factors in that as well. But it does not surprise me that as time and as generations pass, genetics are breaking down. That's exactly what we would expect.
Degenerative over time, or
correct. Well, look at all of nature. The law of entropy is essentially a law that that makes it a fact of physics that everything degrades over time unless energy is put into it to sustain it, right? Sustaining something at the same level in the natural world requires effort and energy to be input into that system. If you leave it alone, it will naturally degrade.
Yes.
And I think if you look back in human history and if you look at what's happening today, we are literally watching the degradation of human DNA, and I think this is inevitable. I think there is it's kind of like a clock winding down. And this is a little bit of a, hey, let's have a despairing little conversation about the future of humanity.
Dude.
It's not to say that it's happening, it's going to happen in 2 generations' time, but we are not as smart as our ancestors.
Yeah.
We have better technology because we developed the ability to record our ideas, to communicate our ideas, and we've had, believe it or not, in the last 150 years, a period of relative peace.
Yeah.
And also we've harnessed energy now.
Yes.
The access to energy that we have is extraordinary. The combination of those things has given us access to information and technology that our ancestors did not have. But on raw intellectual horsepower, we're not even close.
Yeah. I don't want to ruin the segment that we're going to have for later, but we are going to talk about that because I made a comment that Australians are lazy and
That's on Monday. You made the comment on Monday and I talked about the fact that I'm really appreciating the attitude of the people that I've employed in the Philippines.
Oh boy, are you getting roasted for that?
People are outraged. How dare you employ perfectly decent human beings
to do a job
who also have families and dreams and ambitions and bills to pay, who are willing to work and actually appreciate the work.
Yeah.
Instead of employing someone who hates you, who grew up on the same continent.
Well, the person who was most outraged by that comment, we went back and forth a little bit, went and did a ChatGPT summary of what you must be paying them.
Oh, right.
And apparently,
how much am I paying them?
Apparently somewhere between 30 cents and $11 an hour.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that's an exceptionally
So that
widespread.
must be fact.
Well,
because ChatGPT said it.
Okay, but also like that's an order of that's 2 orders of magnitude. Like, sorry, that's not an estimate. That's
it was based
wild
on
goose chase.
level of their output. So at the entry level was 30 cents. At the top end of a freelancer.
Well, boy, 30 cents. I'm going to have a chat with my team.
Sorry, Roy, I just got you demoted. I've got a couple of things to say. We're here, and I haven't finished my good news, but fuck it, we're here. When it comes to running a business and things like that, people are so short-sighted in their thinking, right? And I find it really interesting because people align it all to their political persuasion. So the person we were going back and forth with, we mostly...
You were, to be clear.
Well, me, I was.
I don't wrestle in the mud with pigs. I'm sorry.
I'll grow up eventually. It's just too fun. Just think of me like as a golden retriever or a Labrador.
You just. This is your happy place.
Can't help it. Anyway, so we're going back and forth, and I made this long comment. I was like, that's fundamentally false. Like that's not true. Blah 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 blah. And then they just posted that meme like, "Oh, too long to read. I'm sorry that happened to you," or "I'm really happy it happened." That silly meme. And I was like, "Are you serious?"
Which is a pure cop out.
Yeah, I'm just like, that's pathetic. You throw the grenade.
Yeah.
I fired it back at you, and you're like, I'm not going to respond. Okay, fine, whatever. But when it comes to running a business, aside from the obvious things of Australia just making it so hard, right? All the bureaucracy, all the red tape, all the licenses, all of the permits?
Just the barrier after barrier. You run into nothing but barriers.
Yeah, I made that point that in the Productivity Commission in Brisbane, they discovered it takes 31 steps of government red tape to sell a coffee. Apply that to any industry. Every industry's got their things, right? Like, for example, in the photography industry, I have to have public liability insurance. I cannot go anywhere without it. I have to have my own. A model has to sign a release. I have to do all these sort of checks and balances. So it's not just I rock up and take a photo. I'm like, hang on a minute, there's all the paperwork. Here's all this. Who's got the copyright? Like, every business has that.
If you want to go on a shoot with a decent sized team, the minute there's more than 4 of you involved, you have to get council permits to be allowed to, even though you're out in public places.
Yes, it's just it goes on and on and on, and people don't understand that. Of course, you don't work in it, you don't get it. But what I'm saying is, it's the same for every industry.
Yeah,
and it also makes it slow, and that's the biggest thing. So everyone always thinks, oh, money. It's always about money. It's like, yeah, part of it, because what business wants to spend money they don't need to? That's like not efficient. And then that also eats into the bottom line, which means you can't scale the business.
Yep.
But then there's the other side of it, which is turnaround. And things take far too long.
Yep.
Now, with Australians, and I'm going to die on this hill, I do not care if this upsets or offends you.
Yeah.
I understand that we should have work-life balance. But Australians rather a whole lot more life and a lot less work.
And also, even when they're at work, they're not at work.
Correct. And this has been going on for years. I remember when I was in my 20s and I was working for news magazines. So that was part of Murdoch. And there was myself and two other people who were really young. Like I was 21, I think, and we were all around the same age. And then everyone else was like in their late 30s and above. And that was when Facebook had sort of just started to really take off. And my job was to go onto Facebook and look at it from a point of view of this is ancient. This is before everyone had a Facebook page.
Sure.
And there was websites for things. Like this is slow stuff.
This is last century.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, I think social media might be able to, like we could put a Vogue page on social media. We could do this on social media. And one day my big boss walked past my desk. He's like, get off Facebook, and like yelled at me. And I don't like getting in trouble. So I was all upset. And then my boss went in there and was explaining to him what I did. And so he thought I was like doing nothing. He thought I was just, wasting my time.
Yeah.
And then on the other side of the thing was the other two young ones who we were busting our balls. But on the other side of that was the older generations who were at the golf day.
Oh, yeah.
Getting the client to sign. They were at the long lunch for 3 hours at the Langham.
Yeah.
They were having a staff meeting.
Yeah. Fully catered, of course.
Fully catered and paid for by the company.
Yeah.
And so, like, this has been a long conversation, and I understand that we take liberties and, you sort of get a little bit lax when you're comfortable. But overall, that has declined even more. You think about the average young person, they're on social media, and Gen Z cops this the most. Like, they're unproductive, they don't care. But by and large, and I'm sorry, Aussies, and you can tell me I'm condescending and I'm an asshole, we are actually way less productive than most of the world.
Correct.
When you go to Europe, when you go to America, so your other Western countries, I'm not conflating this with Asian countries or whatever. Americans work their guts out. Americans love success. Not all, but most of them are like hungry.
Yep.
And they'll do the 7 a.m. to the 11 p.m. They'll clock off and go home. And as Australians, we go, that's bad. You can't sustain that. That's terrible. Okay, no one's making you do it.
Yeah, I'm doing that right now. I'm up at 6. I usually don't finish work till after 9 p.m. and I've only taken 1 to 2 hours off during the day. I do that 5 days a week and then I still do work on weekends. Well, here you are again. Thank you so much for watching the Oddcast. You've just seen a clip from the wonderful Carly and myself. Am I wonderful? No, but Carly is. And between us, we make a good team. So head on over to the Oddcast HQ on YouTube and watch our full episodes over there. See you there.